So Coachwood Capital 2022 year in review, essentially we did $8 million of property. What would be your goal in 2023?
Oh, I think we should at least double that.
Mm-hmm.
Like for sure double it. Yeah, 20. I want to talk about a book that I listened to over the weekend that wasn't exactly reinventing the wheel for us or me, but it was summing up, I feel, strategic things that we need to be doing for Coachwood Capital and seminars with respect to Coachwood Capital, as well as leveraging Canadian Protein and Canadian Meal Prep. So, number one, I think on the last raise for Coachwood Capital, we did a poor job of, I guess, selling what we actually do and its benefits. I think we did a good job advertising the fact that, or communicating the fact that we're a unique fund where we merge Canadian investors with U.S. properties that perform better than arguably anything that you can get in this country, in Canada. But we didn't really go above and beyond that, right? And we didn't really communicate the fund's benefits in terms of, when you really actually think of it, we have a guarantee. And our guarantee is positioned based on performance. There's a performance guarantee, which could be treated like a guarantee. We need to push that. We almost need to lead with the fact that we're very different than anything else in the market that's being offered. From we merge Canadian investors with high performing US properties in Class A locations, globally, Class A global locations, as well as amazing returns. Well, I already mentioned that, but Class A, global property in the US for Canadians with high performing returns. It's passive. It's a passive investment with, again, returns as if you were actively managing it yourself, with a guarantee based on, we don't make any money unless the property performs. We literally make no fucking money. None. And we only communicated that on an individual basis, right? And it's in the OM, but I guarantee you people probably skimmed over it. But what I noticed, going back now, when listening to some of the sales calls, even after sending people the OM, and correct me if I'm wrong, I know you were on the majority of them, correct me if I'm wrong, but as soon as you also mentioned that, people were like, "Oh, wait a minute, that's a great selling point, right? Like, we don't make any money whatsoever unless a property performs, and in the event the property does perform, even not to its fullest expectations or even above its expectations, the investors get paid out first before even us." How much of a fucking selling point is that? Nobody does that. Find me something that does that. I don't know anything. Like you were looking at other funds. No one else does that.
The differentiating factor is the no fees along the way.
Right? And then here's another thing too. No fees along the way, and we only get paid once the property performs. So the property has to sell for more than what we bought it for. End of story. If it doesn't, we get no money for the fucking whole entire term that we've put all this work into. All the risk. Here's another important factor. They have no risk. Okay? So this is a risk-free, literally risk-free investment. The only risk that people have is the property either, number one, underperforming or not performing to its expectations, which I guess are one and the same. But even if the property doesn't perform, you are an owner. You own the property, right? The only way for you, it's impossible not to get your money. You can't get a loan without insurance. Okay, the banks will not require, like, the banks will look into that. They will make sure you have insurance lined up, and they do a check. They do checks, so you have to have insurance. So even if something happens, even if there's a catastrophic event, you get a rebuild, you get a new property, and then now you're into a property for, the cost of a new build. Mm-hmm. For the same amount of money that you put in from the beginning. You don't have to put in any kind of extra money. So, like, what is the risk? You have I am assuming the risk on the mortgage. I am the guarantor on the mortgage. Where is the risk to those people? Where are the risks to our investors? They have none. So, no risk, performance-based guarantee, right? And merging Canadians with high-performing U.S. property. Mm-hmm. That needs to be, like, no question what we're advertising. Like, no question. The fact that we are, we only did one of those really well. The other two things were, like, caveats to the initial offer that were communicated, I feel, on a one-to-one basis, which needs to be way more evident from the onset when explaining these funds, right? Something else I want to address, I feel, and I already mentioned this to you on the weekend, Dave, but the fact that in our agreements, we have the ability to offer people like liquidity in the offers, or in the
offering.
No other fund does this. Well, maybe there are some other funds, but correct me if I'm wrong. It's far and few between to find this type of option.
Yeah, if you agree? If you're looking at a real estate investment trust that you're buying on through an RSP or TFSA, like, you do have liquidity. You can sell it at any point.
Of course.
Yeah, but a private placement, that's where it's usually fixed.
Yeah. And
that's what we have, is a private placement.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the returns on what we're offering are significantly higher than a REIT.
It's so, like, you're going to have from REIT to REIT, from year to year, everything varies, right? You're going to have some sub-markets that explode, and the REIT is concentrated in that sub-market. Like, it's so dependent. And the main difference is that the REITs just have fees up the ass, right? So if you're comparing apples to apples, then essentially our returns will be higher because you don't have those fees that are taking away from the returns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I feel that now when you were on sales calls with some of the investors, what percentage of sales calls or investors bring up liquidity with you?
I'd say almost everyone.
So almost everyone brought up, like, can I get my money back if I want my money back?
Yeah, and even if they didn't necessarily bring it up, if I brought attention to it, they were like, wow, that's an added bonus.
Got it. So one of the things that I think that we should do, which was addressed in the book that I was listening to, as an audible book or an audiobook, was offering that as a bonus to people that bring it up, in a sense of, you know what, for a limited time, let me go back to the team. I'll call you right back. Let me see if I can get you this option if you sign, now or today or whatever. Make it some sort of bonus to push people over the edge. You get what I'm trying to say? Instead of blatantly making it obvious. Let's use, because it might not be a kicker for some people. It might not be even something that they're concerned with, right? But if we make it if we bring it up as a bonus structure and make it seem like it's unique, or make it unique to their agreement and their documents and and the offering that we're presenting to them, it might be more individualized. They might be more opt to sign based on presenting that option to them, or that bonus. I feel like having that thing there when they present some sort of barrier to them making the decision.
An objection.
Once they make an objection to that, like the inability of liquidity in these types of offers, then let's present that to them like, hey, listen, how do you feel about this? You know? And we can even structure, we can structure the deal however we feel fit and make that something that's unique to the investor. Yeah. You know, based on however we feel would be fair to us and fair to them, right? Above and beyond that, what are some other objections that you had with these investors? Especially ones that didn't end up coming in. Because the goal here is to take every single objection and wipe it the fuck out. So there is literally no reason, there is no logical reason why this offer, why they should not be accepting this offer.
Other common ones would be the size of the minimum investment.
What, 25K was too big for some people? Is that what it was?
People, yeah.
Okay.
Also, then the
what was this?
The legal requirements of having an accredited investor if they're not friends and family.
Got it. Okay.
It's another common one.
Okay.
Which, because we had a tight pool of people for the last one, like we were able to kind of bypass that pretty easily. But as we get bigger and bigger, then that will come up. Yeah. Another common one would be like proof of concept over like an entire term of an investment. That'd be another common thing.
So so what I'm hearing is, number one, we already came up with being able to reduce the investment requirement.
Yeah.
I love the idea of reducing the investment requirement to like say even like, I don't even care, $1,000 or $5,000. Now in that addresses that. But what we do is we reduce the payout on the equity split at the end. So say, for example, on Bayview Palms, we did 70-30 equity split, right? Where 30% of the gain on Bayview Palms goes to Coachwood Capital, right? So say, for example, anybody that comes in under $25,000 gets a 50-50. So it wipes out a lot of the equity split. Not a lot, but another 20%, right? And then anything above 25% to 250, say, call it 250 grand or 100 grand or whatever we come up with, is 70-30. Anything above 100 or 250, whatever we come up with, is like 90-10 or something like that. So that addresses that. How do you feel about that option?
Like I like it. I have a gut feeling that it might be shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit in terms of the number of people that will go in. Like I upsold a lot of people to get to 25,000, right? Yeah. Which helped fill the fund faster. If they didn't have that requirement, then a lot of them would be going in for the minimum.
Got it.
And I feel like it'd be that much harder to raise.
So, I got it. Do you feel that the reduction in equity split and the investment return overall will help increase that? I don't think to the extent that, like, for example, if we were to have the minimum even at 5,000 versus what we were talking about before, even potentially increasing it to 50,000, that means that we have to sell 10 people for every one person before. Yeah. Like the actual process of closing 10 people will be a lot harder than closing one person at 50,000, 10 people at, because they're not going to be like, oh, 50-50 split. Okay. Yeah, I'll do it anyways. It's not going to be like that easy. Now, I also feel like, sorry, one more thing. I also feel like it's surprisingly easier to close people the higher the investment is. I agree. Yeah.
We had the one guy come in for approximately 300 grand. I forget the exact amount. Yeah. I had like a 5-minute conversation with him. He's like, yeah, I'm good. Yeah. Whereas people that were like, oh, I want to go in for like 10 grand. Can you make an exception? And I've had several hour-long phone calls with them.
Yeah. Now with that said, how do you feel about structuring it in such a way where we give all the information up front to those lower investing people, and it's automated? Like you can't get on the phone. Like you can't even get on the phone with people. And if they do it, do it. Mm-hmm. Like I wouldn't mind using something like that as a testing ground. Yeah. Where it's no work for us. It's like literally almost no work for us to be able to do it. We almost even set up a portal on the website to collect. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like an e-transfer something. Like something like an e-transfer or whatever.
The paperwork, I don't mind. I can do paperwork for somebody in less than 5 minutes.
Exactly.
That I don't mind. It's the process of selling them.
I agree. And maybe at this point, what we try to do is instead of trying to sell them on the phone one-on-one, because we already know that that's not how That's not efficient. For the amount of funds that we need, that's not efficient. We already know that.
Yeah.
Okay. We already know that, say, for example, like at a minimum of $25,000 is worth our time to get on the phone for X amount of minutes or hour, whatever. That's worth it.
How much is the raise going to be on this next property approximately?
In Phoenix?
Yeah.
It'll be 1.6.
So like imagine if we were to like even having the automatic like investments. Let's look at
it's 320 people at $5,000.
$5,000.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm not like, listen, I'm not, I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that we should be on the phone with 300 and something people.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we need to automate it because the majority of these people I know, okay, so they would fall under the friends and family bracket, okay? Yep. And in the event somebody comes in, sends a payment, they don't fall under it, well, then we send the payment back. It's not a big deal.
Right.
But we need to figure out how it, like even with credit card, like we should arguably accept credit card and add 2% fee on top of it or whatever, okay? Like make enough barriers that if you don't want to go in at the same level as a $25,000 investor at minimum, well then now there's a fee. Right? Now there's an extra fee. Now your return is being cut at the end. You're not getting the same deal. It's not the same deal. You want the same deal and you want to make it worth it, you got to bump up your investment. I wouldn't mind and there's no service. Like you don't get one-on-one, you don't get to talk to me, you don't get to talk to you, like you're not talking to anybody. You know what I'm saying? Email at best, maybe.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going with this. Automate, correct? So I wouldn't mind trying it. I think that might be something easy, and it might flop, it might not. But all we do is we do the exact same thing as we did with North Miami. We push forward with the bigger investors. That is it. But we figure out a system where we can automate it for the smaller investors because that right there will accomplish the goal of. I truly do feel that we're missing the boat or potentially missing the boat on smaller investors that could eventually become, who knows, whales for us. We don't know, right? Like, look at the end of the day, you know, that one company, you know, and Ryan gave me a shot at a 25 kilogram drum of creatine, you know, 14, 15 years ago. Now I've done hundreds of millions of dollars with that guy. Hundreds of millions of dollars, and he gave me a shot at a 25 kg.
Yeah,
I don't think it's. I think if we can automate it, and don't get me wrong, like his, it's not like his service was like I can call him up at like midnight and he'll answer the phone. You know what I mean, or whatever. Now it wasn't like that in the beginning, right? Like it wasn't. I wasn't able to leverage my buying power, and there was no relationship and buying power at the beginning, so it wasn't like that. It was just he just gave me a shot. Maybe that's all these people need.
Yeah.
Get what I'm trying to say? Maybe they just need a shot, right? And when they get a shot and it's not any kind and it's efficient for us to be able to give them a shot, maybe that's the nuance that we need for this. And that's it. We need to automate it. I think that's the ticket. So there's that. What was the other one?
What was the other one? The minimum and
the friends and family. There's nothing we can get around with that.
Yeah, that was easy.
How do we do that if we're automating it?
What? Friends and family? You would see it come in, and they have to sign documentation as well. Yeah, you sign documentation, and
one of the forms is the friends and family form.
Yeah,
you'd fill it out yourself. Yeah, if you can't fill it out, then you wouldn't qualify.
Exactly. Yeah. So you fill it out, and we do screen everybody.
Proof of concept.
Proof of concept. Okay, so is there a way for us to advertise proof of concept through my personal? Because obviously with Canton Manor, it's only been Canton Manor's been coming up on I think 3 years.
I think so.
Yeah, about 3 years. Coming up on 3 years. I think there's enough proof of concept there. Bayview Palms are coming up on the first year.
I think specifically to like the actual disposition of a property, not necessarily the appreciation.
Oh, the disposition. Okay.
Yeah. Like the proof of concept of appreciation is very easy.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's much of a barrier. They're like, okay, well, give me an example of like a payout to investors. That's what they would want to see ideally.
Got it. How do we? So what I do see Grant Cardone doing a lot of is advertising how much of a payout people are getting per month.
Yeah.
You ever see that on his shit? He's like 4 million, 5 million, total of like 50 million or whatever. I think that's interesting.
I do too.
But I've never seen him advertise the disposition of a property ever, not once. I don't know if he's doing that behind closed doors to existing investors or not, but I've never seen him openly advertise the disposition of a property, not once. Something to, I guess, consider. Okay, so if that's the case, if we don't have any kind of proof of concept in terms of the disposition or selling of a property, how do we essentially get around that?
Like bring the attention to the success of the cash flow and everything, and then secondly that we don't make money until the property sells, so we have no incentive to hold on to the property forever. And we have every single incentive to increase the value of the property as much as we possibly can,
because that's how we make money.
Yeah,
that is it.
Yeah, that's usually my strategy of overcoming that objective.
Perfect. Okay. And then what was the other one?
Objection.
Now we need testimonials on if there's actual investors and different payouts and all that.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that we can add.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So testimonials. Yeah. What other barriers that you would have had?
Not like, I'm very confident with this next raise. I think like the number one thing is just having a property.
Yeah.
Like I'm not concerned about raising it. Like I think we've built a very strong business model that will, have gaps in it, but we will be able to, the second that we have something, we'll be able to fill up that fund.
Yeah. I firmly do believe as well that we have to really drive home like those three things. American property, or Canadian investors buying American property, like quality American property, and like the property performance guarantee. And I think we should brand it as well. I think that's kind of important. We brand it in such a way where it's like branded on our site. It's branded like we have it. That's a unique thing
for the like performance guarantee.
Yeah, performance. Performance guarantee.
I think you have to double check with the lawyers. I think there's like some nuances with actually having like guarantees with investments that you're legally not allowed to use that word. But there's a nuance some way.
But it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee of you're getting. This is what you're getting in terms of a return. It's a guarantee that, we have the investors and the returns' best interests at heart because of our performance guarantee. Right? It's a guarantee based on performance. That the guarantee essentially is based on the property performing. So. And in the event it doesn't, we don't make any money. That's the guarantee. Our guarantee is we don't make money on the property until it performs. Like that's the guarantee. But we can call it a guarantee.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm trying to say? That's how I feel we can.
Yeah, I think I feel like that's misleading. But like if you're calling it a property performance guarantee,
I don't want to call it, and that's the thing too. I don't want to call it necessarily a guarantee. What I want to call it is I wrote this out. What did I call it?
I do 100% agree that we have to like bring attention to that.
Yeah. Like performance promise. That's what I think we should. That's actually what I think. Property.
Yeah, I like that word.
Yeah.
That word more, like a promise. Like this is our promise that
the reason why I'm saying guarantee is because it could be thought of like, so it's similar, or not similar, but it's
easy to conceptualize.
Exactly. It's something like that could be in their minds, thought of as a guarantee. Does that make sense? Like performance promise. Like that's our promise.
Yeah.
We don't make money. That's a performance promise. We don't make money until the property performs. That's it. It's not a guarantee. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only reason why I mentioned guarantee is because I wrote it out as a guarantee, and then I wanted something like that to brand.
Yeah.
I think that's an important brand, like performance, like something like that, where like Coachwood Capital is branded alongside of our performance guarantee, not performance guarantee, performance promise. Exactly. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I feel like we like Coachwood Capital and our performance promise needs to be one and the same. We need to be we almost need to be known for that because it's so different than in the market. And here's another thing too. I feel that is harder to copy or mimic,
Right.
than say, for example, another Canadian firm going down to the U.S. and buying U.S. property.
I agree.
The reason why that's harder is because we already have the infrastructure to be able to do this that I can leverage. Not a lot of people have that ability. They need to pay people. I'm already paying you guys through, Rob and Peter to pay Paul. You know what I'm saying? I'll get my money eventually to pay the other companies back, but that's what's happening. A lot of people don't have this ability.
Yeah.
That's going to be much harder to do. Putting the OMs together, putting the advertising dollars together, putting everything together, putting the sales calls together. Like, people aren't able to do this. That would be much harder. And that's one of the reasons why we can produce the type of returns that we can, because we're not stripping them out of the investors. That's huge, man. I don't even care about, like, at the end of the day, I don't even care about making money. I actually, like, which is kind of crazy. Like, I actually don't really. I want $1 billion fucking fund. I think that'd be so awesome, and I want to fly around to the fucking buildings. Like, that's it. Like, like, that's what I want. Like, that's it. And I want to make everybody else a bunch of money. That's really what that's the goal. Until I get to a certain level, till I get to say like that $1 billion fund or whatever, I arguably it won't change my life. It won't change my life all that much. I don't need much else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So until I get to that level, nothing's going to change for me. I won't even see income from Bayview Palms for another fucking 5 years. It's not going to change my life. This is a long-term, this is a marathon for me. So the money doesn't matter. It's putting together the funds for everybody else to see how to reap the benefits of what we're doing and bringing this whole idea of what we're doing to fruition.
Yeah.
That's what I love. That's what I love about this. It's not the money. This is actually not about the money.
Yes. So Coachwood Capital 2022 year in review, essentially we did $8 million of property. What would be your goal in 2023?
Oh, I think we should at least double that. Like, for sure, double it. Yeah, 20. Arguably we have the Phoenix property right now at about 5.5, and we've got the hopefully the North Miami Beach property is going to be on lock today. That's about 6.5. So that'll be 11 mil. Yeah. Right. So
and then finish the year.
11 mil. No, it'd be 12 mil.
Yeah, and then finish the year with like maybe an $8 million
exactly.
property.
Something like that, right?
Yeah. So that would be essentially our goal, to get three portfolios, total of 20 mil.
Yeah. So and then next year, 40, 50. Then the year after that, like 100.
Yeah.
And then after that, 200. I think we should double every single year.
Yeah.
We should double. Yeah. It will be $1 billion in 5 years. At the level of the first payout, it'd be awesome to get to $1 billion at that point.
Yeah.
Might be a little tough to get there because I still have to be in for like 5 to 10% of each building. That might be a little tough if we're not getting those payouts.
But once we hit that level, we might be looking at having like other people guarantee the properties.
Maybe, but
right.
The problem is they require fees, right? So that's actually one of the issues.
Like one-time or ongoing fees.
No, it'd be like a one-time fee, like a one-time guarantee fee.
Yeah, you could roll into the closing costs though.
Maybe.
Right.
I'd rather figure. There's got to be ways to do it without that.
Yeah, I'm
sure. Maybe at that level, the funds require less capital up front. It might be a sliding scale where it's like, at these levels, I'm required to be in it for like 5 to 10%. If you're going in at $100 million building, do you really need $10 million as the principal guarantor? Is $1 million not enough to not want to lose? Do you get what I'm trying to say? At that kind of level,
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm thinking, right? But okay. No other barriers or anything?
No, we need a property.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah,
we're in it.
We have something, and let's say Vince's guys pass on it, and we hit the ground running. Like, I'm very confident.
Yeah,
like 1.6 is gonna be easy.
Yeah, and
what?
Yeah. So with that said, I think in our marketing we need to work on the barriers rather than the advantages almost, which I guess are kind of one and the same, but I feel presenting it in such a way that making this offer literally impossible to refuse in our marketing, especially, is absolute key.
Yeah.
It's absolutely key. And then adding bonuses to things. For example, the whole liquidity situation. Offering that as a bonus and not advertising that, right? So that when you're met with that, we could say, you know what, we could do that for you if you sign now, and marry it with urgency.
Yeah,
combine it with urgency, and give away other stuff. Even say, for example, somebody wants to come in for X amount of dollars, and they're kind of hesitant. We throw in, say, for example, maybe we establish some sort of, like we were going to do in the Discord or whatever, like some sort of like mentorship or whatever. Like, I don't mind adding something in there to push people over the edge. I know you don't love that kind of stuff, but I think that that's something that...
Yeah, I think that actually cheapens the deal.
You think so, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Why? What do you think about something like that? Do you think that cheapens it a little bit?
I don't know. I haven't seen that.
No? I don't know.
Like, I feel like we already are fighting an uphill battle with how making people convinced that this is not a scam. I
can't believe that people actually think that is.
You add that layer to it, that percentage of people will be even higher.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I don't think that we should advertise it. That's not what I'm saying. Like, what can, and that's only an idea. Like, how do we?
You have to make we have an offering that is so good that it's like in and of itself that this is a great offering that you want, that we're so confident in what we have to offer that we don't have to necessarily add all these extra things. Because when you start adding things to it, it then makes the person feel like in their mind whatever that offering is of lower value, because you have to add these things to it in order to incentivize people to get it, right?
So what do you use to? So if you're met with hesitation, you don't feel like adding bonuses to the offer is a good idea?
So in terms of sales, yes, you can add bonuses. I feel like...
What do you mean in terms of sales?
Like sales of a product or a service. Like the thing is that this is a actual investment. I think selling an investment and selling a product or service is different, because there are even legal considerations with it. I'm not even sure about the legality of having these shareholders that are supposed to be at the exact same level in terms of their benefits, offering different things to different people. I'm not, it might be fine, but that's something we'd have to check. But the actual legality, are we allowed to have everyone who's essentially supposed to have the same class of share have different levels of incentive? Right? There's probably a way to do it. We need to check that.
I'm not saying we should even have that in the documents. I don't think that we should necessarily be changing the documents.
Well, the liquidity, yeah, you'd be omitting that part if you didn't want to have that. If you want to have it as a bonus, you'd be adding it for people that you'd in order to close them. Yeah. And people that don't care about it, you'd be leaving it out. I think you almost need to adopt the model of Apple, of the business brand, the brand of Apple. They rarely have discounts. They don't try to sell you on all these different nuances to try to convince you to buy the product. They're hey, we're super fucking confident in the product that we have. Come and get it. Right. And I think, I would feel that we'd have to employ a different marketing strategy if I felt like our product offering wasn't a fantastic product offering. But because we do have a great investment that for investment offering for people, I think that's where we just have to be so confident with it and be hey, it's actually your loss if you don't decide to do this. Yeah.
I agree. I do agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. I see where you're coming from, where it's yeah. No, I get it. I'm only trying to figure out, because I do remember some people were it seemed like people needed to get pushed off the edge.
I don't think that would help push them.
Yeah.
Not everyone, at least.
Yeah, and I don't either. I don't think some of these guys would even give a fuck about, they're at the same time too, they're coming into this because they don't want to be involved. So why would they want to learn from somebody about how to be involved in something when they're coming into an investment to not be involved? It doesn't necessarily make any sense.
Yeah.
Right? But some people, I could see why. Because some people like Scott, or some people that already, Aditya, or who, all these other guys, they have their own shit.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe they would find that valuable, especially the lower end guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, these higher end guys that dump like hundreds of thousands of dollars, they got a bunch of money and they don't want to fucking be involved.
Yeah.
You know, so I could see it from their perspective that they wouldn't give a fuck about that. But these lower hanging guys, which arguably might be time suckers anyways, right? So, and I might not want to take that kind of shit on.